Welcome to Sis Flicks, the podcast where we won't judge you for talking through the movie. Sis Flicks are the movies you laugh at, yearn for, and overanalyze with your girls, significant others, and now us.
We are your hosts,
Paola
and Nadhya, two sisters and designers who discuss chick flicks we hate to love,
tropes we love to hate,
and all of the aesthetic choices in between. Join us as we break down our favorite movies together.
Hey, sister.
Hey, sister.
I hope you're having a wonderful October, or Hearttober, if you will.
Jail for you. Jail.
Sisters, I hope everyone's having a wonderful Hearttober with the release of Heartstopper Season 3 earlier this month. If you've watched it, how many times have you rewatched it? We have not watched it.
Yeah, dude, I know. It's been 3 weeks and we haven't watched it yet because us recording tonight is the first weekend that we've gotten to hang out since last month.
Also, though, I think I like doing season 2 without the insight
Of season 3
yet, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't read the books either. So we haven't read the book 5.
Book 5, yeah.
Which is what the majority of season 3, which is book 5, and also Winter.
Okay.
Which is another novel by Alice Oseman with Nick and Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And also I hear there's a big chunk of it that revolves around Tori's story.
Okay.
Which is Alice Oseman's first book.
Solitaire.
So those are like the 3 source materials used for season 3. Haven't read any of them. So we're going to go into it fresh. And also we don't have any future insight into
What comes after season 2.
So we're recapping season 2 today.
Blind.
Fresh. But when we do watch season 3, I would love, with Nadhya's permission, of course, to put together a little reaction video.
Yes.
To share with our patrons on Patreon. So you can join us over there by searching Sis Flicks Podcast at patreon.com and get access to some bonus content while also supporting this little old pod still in its toddler stages.
Yeah, still a little baby.
I think that'll be a fun little clip for our patrons.
Yeah, if you guys follow us on Instagram and you saw the reaction video that we made to part 2 of Bridgerton season 3.
That got some fun feedback.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're talking about. I mean, I don't think we would go super long form. It would still be something like pretty edited, but that was a goof and it seemed to make people laugh. So we would definitely do that again.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to put that together. So as we get into season 2, it was released August of last year, 2023.
Okay, same time as Red, White, and Royal Blue. Just want to call that out.
Honestly, what a time.
Wow.
What a time.
How
was
blessed.
the summer of 2023. Oh.
Wait, 2023 was also Barbenheimer, right? Dude, literally, what a fucking summer. Was that the summer of
What a
we are so
summer.
back? And then we had another COVID surge or whatever in the fall. Great. It's all very cool. Being alive right now is cool.
Because of all the things. Because of how great
Because
the
of
summer
how back we
2023
were.
was.
Oh, fucking fuck. Fuck.
So this season starts off more centered around Nick and his coming out journey. And then later on in the season, we actually switch the focus more on Charlie and how he's affected and how he copes with everything going on with Nick and with him, of course. You know, and season 2 starts getting into some heavier themes, specifically surrounding mental health, as well as continuing to highlight homophobia from peers and family, unfortunately.
And how to handle that.
While still keeping the storytelling light and wholesome, in my opinion, still very appropriate for young teens and preteens, while still very enjoyable for older viewers like myself, like us. It's another sweet season for sure. If you're joining us fresh here, we would recommend starting at our season 1 recap. Our season 1 2-part recap, as this will also be another 2-part recap.
Obviously, we can't shut the fuck up.
Of course not. It's got us all in our feels. So again, season 2 was released summer of 2023 on Netflix. And it's based on the popular webcomic series created by Alice Oseman. And she also wrote and created the series that's on Netflix alongside Euros Lynn, who's the director of this season as well.
Great director.
And the show stars Joe Locke, who is now our 15-year-old Charlie Spring, Kit Connor as our 16-year-old Nick Nelson, William Gao as Tao Su, Jasmine Finney as Elle Argent, and Toby Donovan as Isaac. Those are our OG friends in Charlie's friend group. Mm-hmm. And through the course of season 1, we meet Tara, who's played by Karina Brown, and Darcy, played by Kizzy Edgel. And in this season, the friend group continues to grow as we meet some more awesome people. Even Imogen, played by Ray Norwood, becomes an honorary member of the beloved gang, as Nadhya has come to call them.
I feel like they call themselves the gang on the show.
The gang.
That's why I refer to them as the gang.
I low-key, every time you say the gang, I think about Scooby-Doo. The series music is done by Addy Esker Chase for this season as well. He did season 1. And my guy was nominated for a BAFTA for his work in this series.
Hell yeah.
Because another fantastic soundtrack for season 2.
So good.
And as we've mentioned before, the music curated for this series is on point. If you like alternative pop, indie vibe, we highly suggest their Spotify playlist. I've been obsessed since I started watching this show. Mm-hmm. Costume and wardrobe done by Adam D again. Production design by Karis Beard and Tim Dickel. Everybody who brought us the original season is involved in season 2. And that is essential to continuing the vibe. Whenever we see our favorite shows change creators or writers, it gets very frustrating because you can tell the difference. Here they have made a seamless transition from season 1 into season 2.
Absolutely. It's like they never stopped filming. I'm sure they did, but they just did it so well.
Yeah, no. Season 2 quite literally picks up right where season 1 left off, which is the next day. If you remember, the last episode of season 1 was the beach day, which was on a Sunday. Season 2 picks up that Monday. So the first episode is called Out. And I was honestly pleasantly surprised to see how they literally picked right back up where they left off. Because you don't often see that in any series. Mm-hmm. The timeline sometimes shifts.
They'll change their hairstyles.
Something. Yeah, no, they did an amazing job. It's literally, if you're watching it back to back the way we did, it's seamless. Like, I had to double check. I was like, wait, hold on. Is this season 2? The only exception is in the timing of the story. Mm-hmm. Nick gained like 15 pounds of muscle overnight. That's the only difference.
I just like,
and I'm saying that in just a very
matter of fact,
it was just an observation.
Mm-hmm. We're just
non-creepy observation.
I want to emphasize, like, we're not looking at Kit Connor. We're really just observing him on the show. We're not looking at him.
Right.
We're in our 30s. So that's all I got to say about that.
Girl. No. So the episode opens up on that morning, right after the beach day. Mm-hmm. The first thing we see are the photo booth pictures of Nick and Charlie.
Cute.
So cute. Then we see Charlie getting up for school as he receives a text from Nick that says, "Hi," with a little heart emoji. To which Charlie replies, "Hi, I emoji." Does being boyfriends mean we do good morning texts now? Aw, they're officially boyfriends. And he and Nick proceed to text back and forth the entire morning as Charlie's getting dressed for school, as he's eating his cereal, as he's getting on the bus with Tori. Tori is just eye rolls the whole time as she peeks at whatever it is that Charlie's texting and smiling at his phone the whole ride to school.
Bro, who got you smiling like that?
Oh, who got you smiling like that, son? The man of his dreams.
Yeah. The man of many people's dreams, not mine because he's too young.
Yeah.
I'm an old person.
As he walks into school, the song Shatter by Maggie Rogers is playing. It's like an upbeat rock song, right? Mm-hmm. Playing over these scenes. For me, making this opening feel very similar to the season 1's opening. With Charlie like texting, smile on his face, right? Because he's getting ready to see like a certain someone and he's walking into school and the music's loud and upbeat, right? He's very excited, getting ready to see like his boo or whatever. And then bam, he's disappointed. Mm-hmm. The last time he was disappointed because he who must not be named flaked on him. Mm-hmm. This time he walks into his study hall where he always gets to see Nick, so ready to see him in his usual seat, but he's not there. However, his disappointment only lasts about 5 seconds because Nick pulls up from behind him in a very unflirtatious way and covers his eyes from behind, very platonic and normal. And they exchange their iconic highs, and Nick grabs him by the arm and pulls him into the storage room.
Again, so subtle, so platonic, very normal and cool, a thing that straight friends often do.
Are they trying to keep it quiet in school? The episode is called Out, so by this point you're like, okay, that's it. He's coming out. He came out to his mom. Now it's time to come out to all his friends. And this is where you start to see that conflict, kind of like he wants to come out little by little to his friends, but they don't do a very good job of keeping it cool when they're together, especially now that they're officially boyfriends. So Nick pulls him into the storage room and tells Charlie that he came out to his mom the night before. This makes Charlie very happy and very proud of his boyfriend for reaching this milestone in his journey. So this obviously calls for a little makeout sesh as
Goofy.
As they both tell each other it's not a good idea to kiss in school.
Goofy.
This is followed by a very sweet montage. And by very sweet, I mean like it's empalagao. Like the sweet you feel like behind your molars. Very sweet montage of them going to each other's houses to, quote, unquote, do schoolwork.
Mostly just make out.
Very predictably, they get no work done as they just take turns making out at each other's houses. I counted 8 or 9 different outfits throughout this montage, meaning about 8 or 9 different days.
Right.
Which in school time is about 2 weeks.
They're implying that it's at least 2 weeks, but probably more of them just back and forth to each other's houses and just making out.
Which honestly, I mean, at 15 and 16, that's what you're doing with your significant other.
I wish. Dude, like, another thing, like, for these actors, this is just anecdotal. This is just me thinking. This is just me spitting. I'm like, oh my God, the amount of kissing you have to do. Like, it's so intimate. Oh!
It's not very make-outy kissing.
No.
In this show anyway.
Not yet. Todavía no. But I'm still like, it's just so much. It's so much physical contact. Like, oh my God, I would fucking die or try to marry my co-star.
So after this adorable montage, Charlie and Tao and Isaac are walking to their local corner store on their way to school. We call this a bodega where I'm from. Do. And Tao vocalizes what all unpartnered folks may feel after watching Charlie and Nick make out for 2 straight minutes. You're making me feel very single right now.
I'm married and they're making me feel very single. Like,
honestly, like, aw, this is so cute. And Charlie answers by screaming, I have a boyfriend, at the top of his lungs. And he's amazing. Tao gives Charlie the only side eye. Isaac checks him on it. Isaac is trying to keep Tao in line. And then Charlie adds, and he wants to come out. He's very hopeful, very positive at this point of the story. And Tao and Isaac just look at each other, very worried. And what Tao says is, as long as you're both fine with it and you're looking out for each other, I'm sure it will be fine.
Aw.
Look at
He's
that.
doing great.
Look at that, Tao.
He's doing great.
He's doing great. Elle is finally rubbing off on Tao. And speaking of, she walks right in as he's giving this advice and cannot believe what she's hearing. She's like, Tao, let me find out you're giving out romance advice. And Tao defends himself by saying, I've watched a lot of romance movies. Elle walks past Tao to make her way to the apple juices, and Tao follows. And at the same time, they both realize there's only one juice left. They have a very flirty tug of war at this juice until Tao realizes what's happening. They're flirting. And just lets Elle have it and runs away.
I can't. He's so fucking awkward,
Tao.
but also like been there, dog. So Tao leaves Elle holding the juice, very confused after they're flirting. At the other end of the aisle, Charlie is just looking, making eyes, at an Oreo chocolate bar for what feels like too long Pick it up, put it down, my friend. Like, it's an Oreo chocolate bar. The things are simple. He grabs it, heads out with Isaac. Over at Truum, we see Nick arriving to school and walking past the picnic table where all the fucking rugby lads are. And one of them calls out to him. And he straight up mean mugs. He's like, whatever, I ain't talking to you motherfuckers. He doesn't respond at all. Imogen, however, who is also sitting with the boys, because Imogen does not have a ton of friends, gets up and pulls him over to the lawn to show him pictures of her new puppy that she and her family got after her dog passed away in season 1. And pretty much to kind of make sure that they're still friends, right? Because she had a very big, obvious crush on him. He let her down very gently. And she promises that she doesn't fancy him anymore. She fancies somebody else now, but she won't share who just yet. And she urges him to let her know of any romantic developments on his end. She saw Nick and Charlie grabbing arms and shit on sports day, just like fucking everyone did, because Nick has not an iota of chill. Like, Nick is so obvious about every single feeling he's feeling for Charlie. I'm shocked he believes no one knows that he's queer. Whatever.
He just can't. He can't contain himself.
He tries to say more to Imogen, but he hesitates, and we see his first attempt at coming out to a friend fall flat. He makes his way into school and realizes he will no longer have form with Charlie because for the next 2 weeks, so what we assume to be the last 2 weeks of school, more or less, year 11s will have a study hall hour to study for their GCSEs. So Nick is taking his GCSEs because he's getting ready to enter year 12. Apparently, you can stay at Truum for year 12 or you can go off to a more specialized school. We find out kind of later in the season that there are other characters who are going to, a more specialized school rather than staying at their grammar schools. He is going to be holed up in this study hall for 2 weeks, revising for his GCSEs.
Which I learned is a word for study.
It sure is. Man, Americans speak real weird, but other people in the world seem to make fun of us just as much as we deserve. So Nick finds his assigned seat and he finds out that he is sitting next to none other than Ben motherfucking Hope.
This is the first time I picked up on the Ben music.
There's Ben music?
Ben has his own melody.
Damn, I gotta go back and rewatch.
I wish I can imitate it. I'm not gonna try. Nadhya will make fun of me and laugh at me. Yeah, he has his own, it's a very dark melody, still bouncy, but just dark and gloomy.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. He is dark and gloomy. They sit down. Luckily, no talking is part of the rules because Nick has no intention of trying to speak to Ben. He is not trying to be friends. Ben, however, obviously feels entitled to converse with Nick and question why they won't talk to each other. Mm-hmm. He didn't even do anything, and he already apologized to Charlie.
That should fix everything.
And he's not taking accountability or actually performing any introspection at all. He tells Nick that if he's truly trying to keep things quiet, he could stop acting so gay for Charlie. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie, Ben's got a point.
He's fucked up, and he said it with very
shitty intentions. Even a broken clock, as they say.
I don't disagree.
Twice a day, baby. Yikes.
The thing is, he doesn't want to keep it quiet.
No.
He's just trying to go through his process of coming out.
Yeah, in an authentic way. It just ends up taking
him a little longer than he thought. Yeah.
Mr. Farouk, who is kind of like their study hall teacher for the next 2 weeks, who is a very intense seeming dude who's mad all the time. He's only ever angry. Mr. Farouk slams a ruler down on the table as a no chatting warning. Nick receives a text from Charlie and just whips his phone right out. As if he's not, in the middle of a fucking study hall with the strictest teacher at school. They miss each other and they can't see each other. And Charlie has the wonderful idea to rejoin the rugby team so that he and Nick can spend a little more time together.
And I love it because it's they're both texting back and forth. Oh, I miss you. I miss you. I haven't seen you all day. I miss you. And then Charlie's like, I think I have an idea. And then next scene is him going into the rugby coach office I want to join the rugby team again. And she just big old smile. Love her.
And at practice, we see just how much the animosity between Nick and the rugby lads is affecting the team and how they play, right? Because they don't have to all be best friends, but they have to like each other enough to fucking talk to each other, especially communicate about what the fuck they're doing on the field. Something you notice at the start of practice, or as I like to say about sports, rehearsal, is that most of the lads are happy that Charlie's back, which is genuinely very sweet. But you can see the frustration and annoyance on Nick's face because these are the same people who let him get bullied by Harry.
Like, they end up having a terrible practice to the point where even Mrs. Singh is like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Why can't I get you people to play as a team? And I think this is kind of when Charlie realizes, like, oh, like, they're really not getting along. He's really not talking to these people.
Right.
And you can already see the worry in Charlie's face because, as you can imagine, he's already like, oh, this is my fault. And after all this drama, we cut to Tara and Darcy telling Elle that she deserves to have the perfect romance. And they urge her to try to flirt with Tao. So that afternoon, when Tao meets her after school, she finds the perfect opportunity for a little flirting when he mentions his mom wanting him to cut his hair. She reaches for his hair.
I respect it.
Very similar to a way that a certain Nick Nelson reached out for Charlie's curls. He's like, did you cut your hair? You remember that?
Yes.
In like episode
Yes.
2 or 3 of season 1? Well, Elle reaches out to touch Tao's hair to tell him, your hair is cute long, but it would also look cute short. You should do whatever you want. And sparks go off, little zappy butterflies, and he freaks out. As she plays with his hair, he is completely frozen in place. At the end of rugby practice, we find out what the chocolate bar was for. As Charlie hands it to Nick and tells him it's their 2-month anniversary.
Aww.
Now, 2-month anniversary from when?
Probably from when they went to the beach.
So did the montage, was that a series of 2 months?
Yeah, I think it could be a time jump. That didn't really surprise me that much.
Charlie says he bought it for their 2-month anniversary, but he doesn't want to make it a thing. And Nick says it could be a thing and thanks Charlie with a kiss. And then another kiss.
In the locker room.
And then another kiss in the locker room.
Not an ounce of chill.
They hear the door open, quickly break apart, and they sigh a sigh of relief when they realize nobody saw them, but Charlie goes, and that's why we don't kiss at school. This isn't going to last long.
Nope.
Nick takes this opportunity to say, listen, I really do want to tell people, but it's a lot harder than I thought. It's hard to find the time. And Charlie repeats, you don't have to tell everyone or anyone if you don't want to, which is a message that Charlie tries to portray to Nick over and over again. But Nick has made it very clear that he wants to. He's not having a hard time deciding whether he wants to tell people or not. He wants to. Is Charlie projecting his anxiety about Nick coming out onto Nick? Like, hey, you don't have to tell anybody if you don't want to.
Yes, of course he is. Because Charlie's just like, I don't want to make you uncomfortable and push you away.
Because I feel like Nick has made it more than clear, like, no, I want to tell people and I want to be loud and open about
Charlie's
this.
giving him an out. But Charlie's always giving him an out.
That's what it is. He's trying to give him an out, like trying to give him a reason to be like, you know what, you're right. Nick goes on to say that if they're out by the time they're on the Paris trip, they could kiss on the Eiffel Tower. Not gonna lie, that's very romantic for a 16-year-old.
Truly. Oh, it was very sweet.
And Charlie just melts and reiterates no more kissing at school. To help Nick along on his coming out journey that weekend, Charlie takes advantage that his parents are away and invites the gang over for a sleepover and invites Imogen, hoping that Nick will find the courage to tell her about him and Charlie while everyone's there, right? Having everyone kind of back him up and cheer him along. When Charlie tells Tori about his plan, she doesn't seem too sold on it. She seems worried.
She's skeptical, sure.
He's so excited about it, she almost gets teary-eyed. But as she watches Nick arrive with homemade cookies and hugs Charlie at the door, she can't help but smile and feel happy for them. Once the whole gang is there, Nick and Charlie are getting used to being affectionate in front of their friends. They start to like inch closer little by little while everyone's talking and chatting. Like they start putting their hands closer together until they're finally holding hands. And you can tell that it's still taking some warming up for them. Their friends are taking notice. Like you can see them watching them like take little peeks, but they're not saying anything. They're letting them have their space. One particular friend, though, seems to notice a little bit more than the others, and that's Isaac, who begins to look around the room and realizes that everyone seems to have a pair. You got Tara and Darcy. Obviously, we're seeing Nick and Charlie being openly affectionate in front of them. And Isaac has eyes on Tao and Elle and their situationship. This is when you start seeing Isaac start feeling a bit out of things in his friend group. It's easy to miss because I completely missed it the first time. I didn't catch this discomfort in his face until I rewatched it. And at that moment, There's a knock on the door, and it's Imogen, who has arrived. As Charlie shows her around, the gang hangs back with Nick, and Tara asks Nick if Imogen knows about them yet. He lets her know that he's going to try to come out to her today. And Darcy adds, it'll be fine. She's an ally.
And Tara's like, Darcy, you fuck. God damn it.
Oh my God. Which, as we know, is an inside joke between the girls. The boys don't know this inside joke. And, you know, Imogen is completely taken by how friendly this friend group is. She loves this friend group. And she asks Nick, like, how did you meet these guys? Like, they're so awesome. Giving Nick, in my opinion, the perfect opportunity to mention that he met them through Charlie, who he is now dating. Mm-hmm. But Nick fumbles and does not tell her. And you can tell he's frustrated with himself. And Charlie doesn't say anything. He kind of just lets him be, gives him his space. Because I almost thought like Charlie was going to jump in.
Yeah, I thought so too.
This is Nick's thing. This is Nick's friend. He should be the one to tell her. And Nick admits to Charlie, I don't know why it's so hard to just say it. For Nick, talking about it is not as easy as being about it in this case.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, well, I think he has an idea, an illusion of what he wants, how he wants it to be. And I think that when he's faced with the reality of like saying it out loud, it's like, how do I say this out loud? What are you going to think when I say this? It's almost like he gets stopped by the thought of like, how is this person going to receive this news? Is it going to mess up the vibe if I say this?
Yeah.
Like that pressure and wanting to find the perfect time to tell some, you know, wanting to find the perfect circumstance. That keeps, I think, stopping him. Also, finding it really hard to express themselves are Tao and Elle. Elle is stressing out about her art. Tao suggests to help by modeling for her. Draw me like one of your French girls, he says, which is very funny. Elle finally agrees and goes to position his face by grabbing his chin. Don't we love a chin grab? And they lean into each other for a split second before they realize what they're doing. And they both feel very awkward. Elle picks up her things and heads back inside where the girls are having a dance party. And Tao just stays outside by himself.
It's like painfully awkward.
And it's sad because you see how great they are when they're not thinking about any of that. But as soon as they start thinking about it, they psych themselves out and start overthinking it. The girls have a dance party inside. They include Imogen, which is very nice to see her having like a positive female interaction. I feel like we don't see her having positive female interactions. I don't feel like we don't see her having any female interactions. She's constantly just surrounded by the bros. And you can tell like that's not her energy. That's not her vibe. Nick goes outside to check on Tao, let him know that the pizza arrived. And he makes the mistake of asking Tao how he's going to feel when him and Elle are apart next year, because Elle isn't gonna stay at Higgs School. Elle very much wants to go off to an art school. Mm-hmm. Tao immediately gets defensive and just said, no, that's just my friend. Why would you even ask that? What's wrong with you?
That's so annoying. I also I get like physically upset when people are mean to Nick because I'm just like,
right? Like, how dare you?
Little puppy baby. What the fuck is wrong with you? Be nice.
He's only checking on your well-being.
God.
Shut the fuck up. And if we weren't all annoyed by Tao slightly, his favorite pizza is Hawaiian pizza, and I think that should be known.
Two girls from New York, we know we can't fucking condone that, dog.
Oh, stop it right now. Anywho, back inside, the gang is watching a movie after they have devoured their pizzas when Imogen asks, where's the bathroom? Nick volunteers to walk her, hoping that it's the perfect time to tell her while they're away from the group. As Nick is walking out to help her to the bathroom, everybody's looking at him and starts like making little cheer moves to cheer him on, like, you can do this.
I love them. I love all of them. Literally, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I will fucking go to war for this group of friends.
Honestly, they're precious.
God.
You know what? And I've heard people talking shit about this group of friends. Like, oh, like they're codependent on each other and like all this bullshit.
The way people are online are using psychology terms to devalue friendship. Like, I'm setting boundaries. I'm not driving you to the airport. Like, this person's not meeting my needs. Like, I'm letting them go. Yo, do you know what unconditional love feels like? Because if you don't, I'm so sorry. It's like sometimes people are gonna suck. Sometimes you're gonna love them anyway. Sometimes they're gonna be great. You're gonna love them anyway. Sometimes you're gonna suck and you're gonna want your friends to still love you. Like, you're gonna have needs. You're gonna exchange things. You're gonna perform acts of service for each other. It is bananas to me that people are like, oh, that friendship seems really good to band-aid. Bitch, they're teenagers. Fuck.
And honestly, they have to depend on each other. In some of these people's lives, those friends are the only support and positivity and joy and love that they have, because they're fighting against miserable people. And as we later learn in the series, miserable parents and miserable adults who make them feel like shit. And you know what? All they have is their friends. And God bless that they have this friend group that's so wholesome and positive to back them up and to rely on. This show shows you within this friend group how you choose your family when the people who are supposed to be your family don't support and love you the way that you deserve. Anyway, the gang is supporting Nick as he's trying to come out to Imogen. And honestly, though, this is very creepy of Nick to just follow Imogen to the bathroom and then just stop her on the way into the bathroom. Like, wait, hold on.
I gotta pee. Can you give me 30 seconds?
Wait, hold on real quick. Don't pee yet. I just need to share something really important.
That's so funny.
Because once they're at the bathroom, Nick stops Imogen at the door to try to tell her about him and Charlie. And he can't get it out. He's like, I need to tell you. And she's like, is this about you and Charlie?
Obsessed. I like Imogen so much more in season 2.
I'm like, thank you, Imogen. And then she adds, well, it's pretty obvious. No shit.
Thank fuck. Somebody's fucking saying it. God.
And then this is what throws me about what Imogen says, though, right? Because then she's like, it all makes sense why you didn't like me. It's because you're gay. And then Nick's like, well, I'm bi, actually. So I do like girls. I just don't like you.
I just felt the need to remind you of that. Anyway, I'm dating a boy.
The realization, like, oh, you really did not like me. Anyway, she reaches up to give him a hug. A very awkward hug, right? I mean, it's a very awkward conversation in front of the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And then she says, I'm sorry. I actually don't know how to react. And Nick just says, this is fine. A hug is fine.
Very sweet.
Nick is a gem. And then he tells her, where I told you mine, now tell me yours. Who's your crush? Ooh. And she finally confesses that the person that she has a crush on is no other than Ben Hope.
I think it was foreshadowed enough that we all could have guessed that.
Honestly, and it's the way that the music literally scratches to a halt. Like, girl.
And the man was too stunned to speak.
Jesus. Then we cut to everyone getting ready to sleep. At the sleepover, Imogen and Isaac share the couch. The rest of the girls are in a sleeping mattress. Elle looks over at Tao and confesses to Tara that she thinks she's going to have to just get over him because it's just too awkward. She's trying a flirting thing that Tara was telling her and she's not getting a response. Matter of fact, it's worse. He's like closing in instead of opening up. So Tara comforts her with a big hug. Across from them is Nick and Charlie laying together and texting each other on their phones. Nick tells Charlie about coming out to Imogen and adds, coming out is a lot harder than I thought. And Charlie just puts his hand out to hold his hand. The next morning, we see the gang get ready to leave. Nick is the last one out of the door and gives Charlie a hug goodbye as he walks out. And it takes him a second to kind of remember and realize that everyone there already knows about them. As he's realizing it, we see all the leaves flutter on the screen. He turns back and gives Charlie a head face grabbing kiss in front of all of their friends. Tao, of course, has to be the one to clear his throat very loudly, break them apart. And Darcy, queen, love her. I can't believe people actually think you're straight.
Low-key, Darcy's like the Greek chorus of this group. Like,
honestly, in the backgrounds.
She's like, what's up with you and Nick last season?
Yo, for real, when nobody knew.
I'm obsessed with her.
They walk off. Charlie goes back in the house. And his parents are in the kitchen and mention that they have signed the paperwork for the upcoming Paris trip. And Charlie decides at this moment that it is a good time to tell his parents that him and Nick are boyfriends now. And the surprise on Charlie mom's face. She's like, he's a very sporty laddish sort of boy. I wouldn't have ever assumed that he was gay. Goodness me. And Charlie, rightfully so, says, that has nothing to do with being gay. And actually, he's bisexual.
Bisexual, actually.
And Dad goes, well, gay or bisexual, he is banned from sleepovers from now on. There will be no hanky-panky in this house.
Pero por qué?
We're all Tory, like, please don't say hanky-panky. And I was so surprised by this reaction from his parents. I really thought that this was going to be a moment that they were going to be happy for him because of what he went through at school and how that affected him emotionally and socially. I would assume as his parents, you would see how he struggled with that. And then now he's in a relationship with somebody he likes.
Who's sweet to him.
They see that he's a nice kid. They see that they get along great. Why wouldn't they be more happy for him? Like, they go straight to negativity, almost straight to like, well, I wouldn't have thought he was gay. Well, now he can't sleep over. Sure, I get it.
Yeah.
But maybe start that off with like, oh my God, how do you feel?
That's so exciting.
That's great. I'm happy for you. Well, you already know, no hanky panky. I don't know.
You always get a little bit more tenderness from Nick's mom than you do from Charlie's parents. There's always like a hint of tension with Charlie's parents. Like, I think in the relationship between the parents and the kids, and even to an extent, as you'll see in season 2, between the parents, right? Between mom and dad.
Yeah. As we get further in the season, yeah.
I mean, that's something I'm personally used to because I grew up with parents, but I think the show...
Strict Latin American parents.
Yes. I think
gotta love it.
The show has lulled us into this sense of like security where like Nick's mom is amazing. Tao's mom is amazing. And also they're single parents. Like Nick's mom and Tao's mom are single mothers. So they're not necessarily needing to deal with like, I'm dealing with like my husband's reactions with everything that's happening. No, it's just a very solid relationship between them and their sons. And like Charlie obviously has to navigate both his parents. And like you see them disagree too. Like you see them disagree over like how to discipline Charlie. You see that his mom is like much more kind of uptight and like strict than his dad. And I just think that plays a big part in like how he interacts with them. And kind of like, I don't think his parents are like mean. They don't seem to be like quote unquote bad parents, but Charlie turns inward and internalizes so many things. And I feel like the more we get to know his parents, the more that's going to make sense. Aside from the bullying.
No. And I think this is the first glimpse that you get that you're like, oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah, what's up?
Why was that weird? And I think this is where we start seeing that type of dynamic in Charlie's household. We didn't see that before. I feel like you saw mostly Charlie's dad.
Yeah.
It seems almost like Charlie's dad is the default parent in their family dynamic because he's the one we've seen the most. He's the one that drops Charlie off at events.
At like social events.
He's the one that picks him up. He's the one we've seen Charlie interact mostly with.
Yeah.
And so what we've seen has been warm.
And you could tell that his dad just kind of like gives him space.
Even though you haven't seen them having an emotional conversation, you see him there for him emotionally, whether he needs physical support, a hug, or just space. You don't see that in Charlie's mom. So Charlie goes up to his room. Tori goes up to check on him because she has seen this interaction and she's like, fuck. And she seems concerned about the bullying making a resurgence for Charlie and for Nick when they go public with their relationship. And Charlie, our sweet summer child, just says he's going to do everything he can to make sure Nick doesn't deal with what he did and that he will protect him, make sure he will never feel pressured or stressed, and ends with everything will be perfect. He's saying all of this as we cut to an oblivious Nick Nelson walking home with the biggest smile on his face. And you're heartbroken because you've just realized that Charlie is going to try to control things that he will never have control over. He will break trying to control these things. And Tori knows this, and her eyes well up, and your heart breaks for her as her heart breaks for her brother, because she knows that this is not going to be an easy road. And she can already see how he's going to internalize all the negativity so that Nick has a positive experience. He wants to give Nick what maybe was taken away from him when he was outed.
Absolutely.
And he wants to make this perfect for Nick. And it's like, oh,
can't do that, dog.
That's not how that's going to work.
Yeah, and that wraps up episode 1. Right before we get into episode 2, which is titled Family. Kind of coming off of this like parental theme that we got at the end of episode 1, we open on parent-teacher conferences at Truum. And all the parents are in the gym where they sit with individual teachers at like a desk, like a big like speed dating experience.
Yeah,
but it's like,
honestly though,
with your child's teacher. I'm so confused. I remember
it's so chaotic.
It's like so loud in there. I remember my parent-teacher conferences literally being like the teacher schedules time with your parents and they are alone in the classroom with your teacher. Yes. And it's like very serious feeling and very intense. And
nobody's allowed to hear about how you're doing.
No one's allowed to hear it. They like close the door. You're not even allowed to be in there unless the teacher wants you in there. It's like a lot. So we hear that Charlie's grades have been slipping with every teacher they meet with, right? So they're kind of meeting with all of his teachers in succession. And this scene is kind of fun because you're cutting between different members of the gang, different boys at Truum, and their parents. So it's fun to like watch them as if you're the teacher and they're facing you, right? So that's how the shots are kind of formatted. Charlie's grades have been slipping. Literally, as his teacher is saying this, Charlie, you fuck, is just looking over his shoulder at Nick with like massive heart eyes.
Like he's been really distracted. Yeah. And then all you see is Charlie staring at Nick across the room.
Motherfucker, get your head in the game. And we see Tao and his mom talking to Mr. Ajayi about Tao's struggle with his coursework, because as we all know, he is fucking comically god-awful at art. We hear that Isaac has good grades but should participate more. Any of us could have given that feedback. Ben Hope, barf, is a pleasure to have in class and is such a great student. Oh my God. Nick Nelson is on track to do well in his GCSEs, and Charlie is low-key failing Spanish, even though his father is literally from Spain. Or his grandparents are from Spain, digo. But his dad speaks it to the teacher beautifully.
Charlie is at least familiar with the Spanish that his father speaks.
For
somewhat, sure. Even though he maybe doesn't speak it himself.
Damn.
So the fact that he's failing Spanish, his dad is like, really?
Brutal.
Voy a hablar con él.
So, verdad. Teacher after teacher is coming for Charlie in front of his parents. All of his grades are bad. It's big yikes. He has been a bit distracted, y'all. He's been a bit distracted by his boyfriend's fucking, I don't know,
rugby
face.
arms.
Rugby arms? I was going to say ass. I don't know. Anyway, Charlie and his parents argue in the car on the way home about his grades. So again, this is kind of bringing forward, you know, his parents are not super tender. Honestly, they remind me a lot of my parents in a way. His mom definitely seems to be the one laying down the law. The dad is like a little bit softer, kind of wants to help him out a little bit, but defers to his mom for most things. And, you know, his mom bans Charlie and Nick from hanging out after school until he gets his grades together. And you know what, dog? I don't like the delivery. I don't think she was great about it. But yeah, Charlie, get your fucking shit together. What the hell?
But it's like, here we have a teenager who we know and they know have gone through shit at school.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no, hey, what's going on? There's no touching base with him. How are you? Why are you behind on your coursework? There was no attempt at trying to have a conversation with this teenager about what might be going on that can be distracting him. There's no checking on him emotionally. They just defaulted to, oh, it's Nick's fault.
Yeah.
One of the only positive things he has going on in his life, and goes right to just taking that away.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, again, like, I don't really fuck with the delivery. It could have gone better. Could have been more of a conversation. But his mom is just, again, laying down law, right? We see Charlie frustratedly playing the drums, texting Nick about how angry he is, that he's effectively grounded. He and Nick go back and forth a little bit on Insta. They're trying to comfort each other. It's cute. Nick, by contrast, is doing really well in school and arrives home with his mom to his very yellow home to find that his older brother is back from university on holiday break. Here in this shot, the sun is coming in through the back windows. It gives you a very yellow vibe.
Mm-hmm. A little golden hour.
It is clear immediately that Nick and his brother do not have a great relationship. Nick is not happy to see him. We don't really know why, though. He asks if Nick has a girlfriend yet, and then goes, obviously not. Like, their relationship is very weird. His brother seems very fixated on masculinity and heterosexuality in a way that no other character on this show has been. So it feels like a shock.
No love or respect. Absolutely. Yeah. No, they don't vibe at all. They're like opposites, him and his brother.
Because Nick is so like emotionally intelligent, really kind. Like, it always makes me sad when in movies or TV, the siblings are like, because you can be opposites from somebody and still get along with them and like have a good relationship and understanding. And it just so bums me out to see siblings that don't get along, because I mean, this is a very privileged thing to say, but that's obviously not the experience that I've had with my sister. It's not even really the experience I've had with my brothers, like growing up, right, as a kid. So I just remember having friends who would be like, oh, fuck my sibling, like fuck my sister, fuck my brothers. And I'd be like, I don't feel like that. Like
how? How and why?
Like, I go home and hang out with them because it's fun. So it always adds like an extra layer of sad to me to see siblings acting like this. Nick and his mom on the side independently agree not to tell his brother, whose name is Dave, about his relationship with Charlie. The next day at school, Nick walks past Ben Hope and Imogen making out by the lunch table.
Actually, Nick is walking up. Ben watches Nick coming up and grabs Imogen to kiss her.
It's
when he sees Nick.
Fucking weird.
Honestly, it's like by chale vaina. It's not to make him jealous.
Because he doesn't want Imogen.
What's he trying to prove to Nick? He already knows.
Oh, hey, Nick, I'm not gay. Oh, who gives a shit, Ben?
Bitch, I already saw you trying to fucking force yourself onto Charlie. Like, what the hell?
Ugh. We cut over to Higgs, where Elle, Tara, Darcy, and a new friend, Sahar, start talking about year 11 prom. And here I have a question for our international listeners. Is prom common in the UK? Like, is that kind of new there? Because I know prom is really common in the US. Like, pretty much every high school has prom. Prom is just a big dance. That's all. It's like a very formal dance at the end of the school year, mostly for seniors, but sometimes, depending on the school, kids from different classes can attend.
And the way they brought it up was interesting. Like, oh, we're going to be able to have year 11 prom.
Yes.
So it's almost like this
like
thing that's not guaranteed, or it's new.
Yeah.
And they're excited that they're going to be able to do it.
Also, we're at the end of the school year, right? Like, they're going to have their GCSEs. This is probably like the last month or so of school. Anybody who's done prom stuff in the US, the shit is planned from the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
Everything is planned. Deposits are made. Things are starting to get printed by the time you're hitting like Christmas break. Like, just because it takes a long time to plan an event like that. And I think for Patreon patrons, Paola and I should post our prom pictures.
Oh, hell. I'm so sorry. No. I would be happy to post Nadhya's prom pictures. She looked
amazing.
Absolutely stunning and beautiful.
So they sit together at lunch, the girls at Higgs, to plan excitedly, and Tao DMs Elle and asks her if she is available to work on his art coursework that evening. Her friends advise her to stay away from Tao because she wants to, quote unquote, get over him, get over her crush on him.
Tara's like, girl, you got to create some space. You say you want to get over him.
And I don't disagree with that.
She's trying to be a roll dog. She's like, girl.
Roll dog. I love that. I don't disagree with her, or I disagree with Tara, but like, I don't know. It just bums me out because obviously as the viewer, we have more insight into Tao's feelings and we know that he reciprocates them. And he's probably just trying to spend more time with Elle to get more comfortable, or comfortable enough to be like, hey, I like you, like, right? And she's kind of depriving him of that opportunity. Again, it's not her job. So she can't hang out anyway, whether she wanted to or not. She has an open house event for an art college she's interested in, again, for years 12 and 13. Before university. And Tao, unexpectedly, because we know that he's a fucking brat, is very sweet about it. And it's just like, yep, we'll get together on a different day. That's totally fine. Good luck. Have a great time. Back at Truum, Nick is in his intensive GCSE study hall, and Charlie gets permission from the study hall teacher, Mr. Farouk, the very intense angry study hall teacher to bring Nick a pen.
How funny. Like, you know, you don't need no pen.
Dog,
Sir, you don't need to give that pen back. There's plenty of pens to go around.
He just needed an excuse to fucking flirt with him.
And the fact that Mr. Farouk lets him interrupt his studying to give him a pen shows that Mr. Farouk stands Charlie and Nick.
I don't know. I think Mr. Farouk is incredibly indifferent.
Because he's a teacher and he's smart enough to know he don't need no pen. He got a pen. But okay, I'll let you give him a pen. Go
You're
ahead.
a fucking mess. Charlie and Nick clearly miss each other. And they finally get like a chance to talk. And obviously they're talking for too fucking long while Charlie is literally handing him a singular pen. And Charlie is made to leave by Mr. Farouk. Nick sits back down in his seat next to Ben Hope. And Ben Hope immediately starts to taunt him. He tells Nick, you know, you hate me, right? Like, it isn't my fault that Charlie liked me first.
First, he's like, apparently he's as desperate as ever. Like, shut the fuck up. You're the one that won't stop talking about him.
And Nick is just like, don't talk about him. Don't talk about him. Don't. We're not cool. Don't talk to me. Don't talk about Charlie. Like, I'm not down for this shit. Nick replies, I hate you because you literally assaulted him.
Literally.
Fair point, Nick. I love that for you. I love the honesty of that emotion. Mr. Farouk kicks the boys out of study hall and forces them into a private study area as a punishment. But they're in there and they have to share and they're sitting right next to each other. Ben tells Nick that Charlie might think he's the perfect boyfriend, but in reality, he and Ben are exactly the same. How deeply fucking weird to be like, hey, you think you're great? Hey, man, you suck just like me.
Just like me. What? Nobody would say that like that.
You're a piece of shit just like me. It's what the fuck? It's so fucking weird. And Ben accuses Nick of not wanting to come out, period. Right? Like he's stringing Charlie along by making him believe that he plans to come out. And Nick is obviously shaken by this.
He really lets him get into his head.
He does. Because he's clearly already struggling with like his attempts so far at coming out to his friends have been fails, right? Like Imogen came out for him and he hasn't even tried to talk to like rugby boys. It's just not something that he's been successful at on his own. And he's definitely like internalizing what Ben is saying and blaming himself, I think, more than we've seen him do before. We see Nick at home, surrounded by papers and books in his very blue room, wearing a very blue hoodie, sitting on the floor. Again, papers, books everywhere, clearly trying to get some studying done. His brother comes into his room unannounced to just fuck with him, right? We all have brothers who fuck with us for no reason.
This is a very brotherly thing to do, by the way.
Honestly, my
just
brother
storm into a room, move your shit around and leave.
It's so fucking relatable. My brother used to come into my room, knock shit off my desk, fart, and then walk out.
Turn the light off on his way out too.
He was in his 30s. Like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Anyway, so his brother picks up his phone and sees that someone named Charlie has been messaging him on Instagram. Luckily, because this is Instagram, all you get is the Instagram icon, right? Mm-hmm. He's not texting him directly. His contact picture isn't coming up. So Charlie could be a girl.
I do think he knows.
But he's fucking with him.
Yeah. Because he's already like, oh, I took your Switch, which is most likely in Nick's room. He's probably already been in there. He has pictures of Charlie up there. So he sees the Charlie name and just start, oh, who's this?
Who's this girl? Yeah. But I think as the viewer, we're still in the dark about that.
Yeah.
As the viewer, we think Nick's super hetero brother just thinks his brother is also super hetero. And they part contentiously. Nick and his brother clearly do not get along, as we've mentioned already. His brother is sporting just a straight up J-Biebs, a Justin Bieber.
This man is also 35 years old. Okay? And they tried to give him like a Bieber.
A little like side sweep. Like, my guy hasn't been in the halls of a university in 20 years. Like, I don't know what they're making us believe as the viewer, but okay. It's funnier, I think, because the show has done such a good job at casting teenagers that feel like teenagers. Yeah. And then you get Nick's brother, and it's like, for all we know, maybe in real life, he's like 25.
His brother is played by an actor named Jack Barton, who is 29 years old. So
yeah, that tracks. Anyway, Charlie and Nick keep texting about their respective frustrations and end up deciding to meet at the park with Nick's dog Nellie so that they can finally hang out, since Charlie is banned from going to Nick's and Nick is banned from going to Charlie's. The way Nick has no chill about Charlie just at any fucking moment in time is so precious and incredible. They meet at the park, they share a picnic blanket, they play with Nellie, they make out fully out in the open in public.
I love this because it's a direct contrast to the first time we saw them in this park, where Nick was like so anxious about other people seeing them. He didn't want to kiss. He was like very cautious. And here he couldn't care less. To the point where Charlie looks around and he grabs him by the face and they continue to kiss. I was like, oh,
it's precious.
Very nice parallel.
Charlie ends up stealing Nick's hoodie, because of course he does. And on his way home, Charlie sees that Nick has posted a picture of him with Nellie on Instagram with the caption, "I think Nellie loves him." We see, as he's smiling down at his phone, that he becomes surrounded by this animated rainbow sunburst on the screen that appears behind him. And it's just kind of like, even though Nick isn't officially out, he's really happy to see how unabashedly Nick advertises their friendship. Like, I don't really care, I'm going to post you on my grid. That's precious and adorable. Again, Nick just has such an aversion to inauthenticity. Like, he's incapable of being fake. So after this scene, very precious, we cut to Elle, who is at the open house for Rochester Art College, the school where she anticipates completing her 6th form studies, the last 2 years of high school in England. Everyone around her is queer as fuck. Tons of gender nonconforming and trans people around. Elle instantly befriends 2 people, one of whom is a trans girl and the other who doesn't specify gender but goes by the name Felix. She posts them on her Instagram story and seems to have a really, really fun time. She's feeling like very validated and affirmed and in community in a way that's like so beautiful. And we cut to Tao sitting on the couch with his mom, his dinner untouched in front of him. First of all, his dinner looks fucking slamming, okay? He's looking at his phone as he goes through Elle's Instagram and her Instagram story. His mom tries to get his attention and sees Elle on his phone and immediately says, "Is that Elle? Oh, she's so pretty." I love his mom. I love her. I love her. Like, I would go to war for this group of friends. I would go to war for Tao's mom. I would go to war for Olivia Colman. Like, no fucking question. Tao explains that Elle is at an open house for her art college that she's looking at. His mom kind of immediately puts together that Elle will likely be going far away for school. They won't be able to just hang out whenever like they currently do because they live in the same town. And she seems kind of worried about what that could mean for Tao, his attitude, his well-being. Tao finally puts his phone down and starts eating. It's like the sign of like, I need to kind of take my mind off this for right now.
Well, I think she also helps comfort him by like saying, let's invite her over to dinner. Like almost reminding him like, you might not see her, but she's still going to be part of your life.
She's always welcome.
Right, exactly.
And the next morning, we see Nick arriving to school. Imogen bounds over from where she's talking to Ben, barf, to chat with Nick. And Nick, again, incapable of inauthenticity, immediately asks her, "Why are you dating Ben? He's done some like really bad stuff. Like, I can't tell you because it's private, but he's done really bad stuff. So like, what the fuck is up?" And she clearly does not want to hear it, right? Like, she's like, "Ben has only ever been lovely to me. I've known him since we were kids. Why are you being like this? There's nothing wrong with me having a relationship with Ben. I'm sure if he's done anything in the past, he's better now. So whatever."
Well, something that she says that was interesting. I think she said something like, "He's one of my oldest friends, one of my only friends."
Yeah.
That stuck out to me because it's almost like she feels like she doesn't have many choices. Like, oh, one of my only friends. And it's like,
I'm 27 years old, Lizzie. I've no money, no prospects. I'm already a burden to my parents. And I'm frightened.
And she's frightened. Right? I feel like with that line, that's the vibe that I got from her. She's almost afraid to reject Ben because then what does that leave her with?
Nick doesn't want to date her, right? She had a crush on Nick and Nick is clearly taken.
Right? It's almost like she's grasping at straws with
sure.
wanting to pursue that relationship with him.
Ben is a fucker. At this interaction, Imogen gets like visibly upset and goes back to Ben and she, seems tearful and frustrated. Nick leaves. We cut to Nick in the gymnasium in a testing setup surrounded by other students and desks. It is officially the first day of the GCSEs and Nick's head is not in the fucking game, okay? We see animations of the diagrams inside of his test begin to scramble and wiggle and encase him in like a spiral. You can just tell that like whatever was gonna happen in this test fucking goofed it, right? Like it just fully went sideways. Cut to Nick answering the door to his home to find Charlie there. Charlie says, I came over to comfort you after your terrible exam. They're really excited to see each other in this really sweet way. Like they're clearly kind of missing how much time they were spending together prior to Charlie getting grounded. From there, we cut to Elle in her bedroom with her mom, who also seems awesome. We meet her for all of 20 seconds, but she seems fucking great. Modeling an incredibly skimpy outfit, okay? Like a teeny tiny going out look in front of her mirror.
All legs.
That girl is legs up to her fucking chin. And like, also an incredible walk. Like, Yasmin Finney, like I need her to model for every single brand collection. I need her to walk runways. Like she's incredible looking. And she's wearing like this teeny mini skirt with this like full on midriff top that has like a D ring in the middle holding the fabric together like a bra top. It's wild.
And the mom's like, I think it's a little too short.
And it's so funny because the mom says I think it's too short but doesn't make her take it off. She's just like, I think it's too short.
But okay.
Whatever. So nonchalant. And Elle's mom glances out the window of her bedroom and sees that Tao is down at the street level waving up and says, your boy is here.
Your boy. Hey.
Tao and Elle sit in the doorway of her home and Tao apologizes for, quote, being weird, unquote, in a very vague way, right? Like he's not really apologizing for a specific interaction. He's just like, I've been weird recently and I'm sorry.
He knows he's been weird. The vibes have been off. He hasn't come to terms with why yet.
Yeah. Elle's just like, okay, go, that's fine. And he asks Elle if she wants to hang out that evening. And she says that she's actually going to an under 18 club with her new friends from the art school open house, Naomi and Felix. He asks her to hang out on the weekend, and remembering what Tara told her, right, about keeping her distance from Tao, she kind of blows him off, right? She's like, oh, you know, I'm so busy with getting stuff together for like art school. And Tao's like, okay, I guess. They're literally squeezed shoulder to shoulder in the doorway of her home. From there, we cut to Charlie and Nick laying in Nick's bed in his very blue room cuddling. They're watching a movie on Nick's laptop and Charlie has fallen asleep on Nick's chest.
Which
and
looks
goes,
very comfortable. Don't. Nope, cut me out.
I'm sorry, dog. That's staying in. Charlie asks, have I fallen asleep? You know, I don't really like Marvel movies. Which is such an
big
LOL. Because the actor who plays Charlie, Joe Locke, was literally in Agatha all along.
Literally.
A Marvel show on Disney+.
But this is before that though. So but it makes it even funnier.
Nick offers to make Charlie some dinner. Oh man, like get out, okay? I'm not 16.
Nick.
Get out of here. He offers to make Charlie some dinner. Like, hey, do you want some tea, some dinner? I can make us a meal.
The 16-year-old boyfriend offered to make his boyfriend dinner. Okay.
If he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to, he would.
If he wanted to, he would. Look at that shit. That is a man raised by his mother.
Yeah. And not the bad kind. Not a boy mom. That was a man raised by a very sensible woman.
Excuse me, what?
You know boy moms? The women who are like, I can't believe my son will get married one day. I already hate his girlfriends. Yeah.
Yeah.
My son is mine. And it's like, literally? Get out. Get out. Charlie declines to eat a meal. Gonna clock that. But requests some tea because England. While Charlie is alone in Nick's room, David comes in, again, unannounced, and introduces himself to Charlie. He recognizes the name, obviously. Charlie's fucking picture is hanging up behind Nick's bed, and he is instantly fucking shitty. Nick comes back up and is like, what the fuck are you doing in here, my guy? Go away. And David's like, I just want to meet the guy who turned my brother gay. What?
Fuck, yo, you want Nick to take the hot tea and throw it in his face.
And this is also where we get just like a very iconic, I'm bi actually, from King
with
Nick
it.
Nelson.
I love it because he like stands up straight, rolls his shoulders back, crosses his arms. I'm bi, actually.
Oh no, unfortunately, he's so hot. So they start arguing and make their way.
If we were 20.
For other people that are
Yes,
young. Okay.
Exactly.
I have eyes. So they start arguing and make their way down the stairs with raised voices, right? Because Nick has walked his brother out of his room and is like, get the fuck out. I can't believe you're like this. I can't fucking stand you. And they come upon Nick's mom, Olivia Colman, Queen.
Not in this scene.
Not
actually.
in this scene.
And
no.
I will express why.
He asks why, because he's assuming that she told David about Charlie, and that's why David is being such a dick. He asks why she told David about Charlie. She says that she didn't. And David says he saw the picture of Nick and Charlie kissing in his room. And now, as a first-time viewer, we know that it's like quadruple shitty because he clearly was already aware that Nick was dating a boy and decided to be a fucking asshole about it anyway.
Yeah.
And that sucks. No one acknowledges that Charlie is also still fucking there listening to all of this. And we hear Olivia Colman pull David away into a different room and start shouting at him. Why are you in his room?
Nobody apologizes to Charlie.
Nope.
Except for Nick. As the mom, she did not call David out on his bullshit in front of Nick and Charlie. She let him slide. She didn't address it. She didn't hold him accountable. Her argument was, why was he in Nick's room? Not why are you being a homophobic asshole? Not why are you embarrassing me in front of this pleasant guest? Not why are you showing your whole ass? Like, that shit pissed me off.
Yeah.
I'm mad at the parents in this episode. And this only parent who I stand for in this episode is Tal's mom.
War.
Tal's mom. Elle's mom, we met for 20 seconds.
Battles.
We don't really know anything yet. Tal's mom. That's it.
I was going to say, Elle's mom, I feel
fuck?
like we know what we need to know about Elle's mom, which is that she fully supports her daughter. She's helping her get dressed to go to an under 18 club with new friends.
And is fully supportive of her outfit that she chose herself and she feels good in.
Love that.
Okay. I feel you. Yes. 100%.
That's all I need. And Charlie feels really fucking awkward, as anybody would, and leaves. He and Nick are both upset. Nick walks him to the door, but is like too flustered and too angry to even give him like a hug.
I wanted him to walk him home.
I also did. I wanted him
but
to
then
walk
he would have got
home.
him in trouble.
He would have.
Because he wasn't supposed to be at his house.
Well, he got in trouble anyway because
True.
Charlie walks home by himself and is immediately confronted by his parents, who are angry that he broke their quote-unquote agreement to stay away from Nick until he finished his coursework. Charlie is then formally grounded by his mom, who is definitely, as we mentioned before, the stricter, more stern parent. His dad, a little bit softer, a little bit more empathetic, asks if he's had anything to eat, and Charlie lies and said that he ate at Nick's. So he just continues to avoid eating.
Yes. And so now, as a viewer, you've seen him lie to Nick about having eaten, and you see him lie to his dad about having eaten. He walked in the house and they went straight to attack.
Paola, again, I'm going to reiterate, that's exactly what would have happened at our house.
That doesn't make it okay.
No, it doesn't. But I'm saying it is normal. Like, not good, normal.
No checking on him and what he had done that day. No checking on him. Tu comiste. You don't get that from the mom at all. Dad's the one, because as we discussed, he's the default parent. He seems to be the caretaker. Is the one that checks up on him. Hey, are you going to come have dinner? Oh, I already ate at Nick's. And you can see the worry in his face. Because even with his wife, he's looking at her like, yo, what the fuck? But he doesn't want to.
He probably doesn't want to step on her toes, invalidate whatever she's saying.
Especially in front of, who knows what types of conversations they have behind closed doors. But okay, as parents, yes, you show a unified front in front of your children. Agreed. So he doesn't want to step on her toes while she's correcting Charlie. Okay, I get it. I understand. But you can see the disappointment in his face.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you don't need to do all that. You're being incredibly extra.
Because obviously her rules didn't work, right? All they made Charlie do was sneak around.
Exactly.
It didn't change his behavior the way she wanted. It changed his behavior in the other direction.
Which is what's always going to happen when you confront teenagers in this way.
We see Charlie, after this interaction, up in his room, frustrated, texting Nick. We see Nick in his room looking worried as he texts Charlie back. He sends Charlie a voice note about how he knows that coming out to everyone won't be as easy as it was coming out to his mom. Clearly, that was like a dream scenario, but that he can handle it. He can handle any backlash or this situation, right? The song playing here over Charlie rolling over into bed has lyrics that say, "I feel like I wouldn't like me if I met me."
Oh, this song. I love this song. And also, I'm like, oh, in this scene, it's like,
Makes me feel sad.
just grips your heart a little bit for them.
And from here, we cut to Tao sitting at home in his bed, looking dejectedly at Elle's Instagram stories from her night out with her new friends, Naomi and Felix. We hear a soft knock at Tao's door, and it's his mom, who brought him an unsolicited bowl of cut up apples. And listen, how many times do we have to say it? We're the children of immigrants. This is so fucking relatable. There is nothing more relatable than your parent just wordlessly coming up to you and going, "Here's a bowl of fruit."
This is the most immigrant parent thing.
Yes.
I was like, oh, wow. This feels very authentic.
Like, they really had like a good writer on staff to be like, she's going to come up and bring him some fruit.
They were like, no, she would bring him a bowl of fruit. And they're correct. As soon as I saw that on screen, I'm like, wow, immigrant parent energy.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, we're all the same.
Yep.
No one has ever had a unique experience. We're all the same.
No, we're just out here living the same life.
She sits on his bed to chat with him about Elle and how he misses her and will continue to miss her even more once she goes away for school. Tao's mom brings up his father. And as a viewer, this is the first time that we hear of Tao's father. We just know that he's not there. We don't know why he's not there.
Also, like the display of nurturing that comes from them showing his mom bringing him food. Mm-hmm. Such a contrast to the interaction we just saw Charlie have with his mom. Just wanted to point that out because that was an important contrast.
Yeah.
And also says so much with what Tao's mom does for him.
I think also that Tao's mom values his, like, I don't know, relationship experiences. Like, she wants him to be happy. She's kind of like, I'm not going to tell you to avoid the feelings that you have for somebody or that you're too young to feel these feelings.
Let's talk about the feelings you have for somebody.
And the other thing that I really like is how much, again, kind of outside of Charlie's parents, I don't want to give them too much shit because I feel like we'll probably get to know them better in season 3. But one of the things that I really love about the adults on this show is that virtually nobody is invalidating the feelings of a teenager. No one is telling them, you don't know what this is. Oh, but you don't know what this feeling is. Oh, you've never been anxious. You've never been depressed. You've never been in love. Like, you're just a dumb idiot child. No one is doing that.
Yeah.
Their feelings are given like weight and importance. And that's so fucking valuable and such a valuable experience. Like, I can't even count the number of times that I expressed even a passing feeling, even just like, I'm really angry. And the first thing the adult in my life would say was like, you don't know what it's like to be angry. You don't know what it's like to be anxious. What do you mean? You're a dumb little baby. Like, oh, you have bills to pay that I don't know about? And it's like, okay, I guess I'm not allowed to feel emotions until I need to pay bills. Like, what?
Where's your car note?
Right. Like, and that doesn't...
What bill collector called you today?
That doesn't translate into very healthy emotional behavior, period. So I think it's just really nice that it seems like the adults in their lives are trying to set them up for like the best emotional expression possible. And Tao's mom continues to say that she had a really happy relationship with his father and that they were best friends, and that he unfortunately passed away unexpectedly. We don't learn how, leaving her feeling unbalanced, like she had fallen off a cliff. Mm-hmm. She understands his fear of losing Elle because she's already experienced the aftermath of losing the person that she loved, and obviously doesn't want him to feel that way. She emphasizes that Elle is growing and moving on, right? Like embracing that she's growing up. She's got to go to this other school. She's got to chase her dreams. And Tao says, well, I'm just the same old Tao. And his mom replies, same old Tao isn't so bad. Mm-hmm. And this feels like it's foreshadowing something.
Well, I feel like at this point, once you officially know what's gone on in Tao's home, mm-hmm. right, and the dynamic in his household and why, you understand Tao's behavior a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
You understand this anxiety and this fear he has about losing the people he loves, because he literally lost one of the biggest, most important loves in his life, which is his father. I mean, you don't know about their relationship, but by how his mom describes the relationship she had with his father and how loving you see his mom is, you would assume that his father was just as loving to them. So you understand Tao's obsession with keeping his friends or keeping things the same, things not changing, things not going away.
Controlling outcomes.
Controlling how things turn out, right? Even for his friends, right? Controlling how things turn out for Elle by like being worried about who she's making friends with and what she's going to do. Being worried about Charlie and who he's befriending and what he's going to do. Like, here you empathize with Tao a little bit more and how he's behaved with his friendships before, right? And like that control he tried to have over them. Not over them, control he tried to have of his environment. And also, he says how Elle, she's growing and she's going to move on and she's going to go to cool art school. And he's like, you know, while I'm going to stay here and be the same old Tao. Probably a similar feeling of how he feels when his dad passed. You know, he went on and we stayed here and we have to deal with here now with whatever that means and just continue to live, continue to move on. And that's a very sad feeling. And I love that his mom is like, what's wrong with you just being you? Same old Tao isn't so bad. Having seen the season, you realize like how he tries to change himself a little bit to impress Elle. And I'm reminded of this line that his mom gives him. Well, same old Tao isn't so bad. That's the Tao that Elle likes before he tries to change stuff about himself to impress her.
His mom tells him to fight to stay by Elle's side if that's what he wants. Obviously it is. And we get a quick shot of Tao's phone background, his lock screen, which is a picture of him and Elle, which is so fucking cute. And we cut to Tao, what we assume to be the next day, walking to the corner store he occasionally goes to with Charlie and Isaac to meet with them. He bursts in like just the fucking ball of energy so he occasionally is and says, I like Elle, and goes on a rant about how he's afraid that confessing his feelings for Elle will ruin their friendship and that he's been so oblivious and everyone must have been laughing at him behind his back. This is not completely untrue. Like, he kind of hit that one on the nose.
Not laughing at him, but knowing the vibes and just waiting for him to react. Yeah, for sure.
He decides he wants her to know anyway and asks a flabbergasted Charlie and Isaac for help. That is episode 2.
Aww. And I know this is going to ruin everything. And I like, he is so, it's like an existential.
And it's not because I'm lonely and it's not because it's New Year's.
It's because when you know you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to begin as soon as possible.
I mean, honestly,
that tracks.
That kind of hits. That kind of hits. I like that. I like that we're making these connections with the 6 movies that we like. So great.
We love a Sis Flicks connection.
And even though we love a Sis Flicks connection, that is unfortunately going to be the end of our episode of Heartstopper Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2, with Episodes 3 and 4 coming at you ASAP. Coming at you next week, baby. Stay with us. Check back on us. Keep up with our Heartstopper Season 2 and forthcoming Season 3 coverage. We cannot wait to get into it with and for you guys. Also, as always, do not forget, if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, please leave a review anywhere you get your podcasts. Rate us, review us with words, with stars, whatever. Join us over on Patreon, where we are beginning to drop some bonus content that will include bonus audio content. I think, as we mentioned earlier in this episode, goofy things like prom pictures. So the barrier to entry is very low. Come and join us. And if not, just keep enjoying us wherever you're listening now. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.